This is Karl Bushby. He's attempting the longest walk home in human history, from the bottom of South America all the way to Hull, England on foot. This 36,000-mile journey takes him across countless borders, through some of the most dangerous places on Earth, and even areas where there isn't even land to walk. Initially, the trek was supposed to take 12 years, but 27 years later, he is still out there walking, trying to get home. Along the way, he has forged one of the greatest stories of human breaking the limits of what we believed was possible. This is the Goliath Expedition. Our history is full of stories of epic voyages. But there's a 28-year-old guy living on the east coast of England that's planning his very own walk. A walk that'll dwarf every other in history books. He's building his custom cart he named Beast, only thing that'll be with him throughout the next 12 years. In 1998, he finally flew to Punta Arenas, Chile, the way he tipped the word, and starts walking north. There are only two rules he has set for himself. One, he cannot use any form of transport, and two, he cannot go back to England without walking the entire route, unbroken. Soon he crosses Atacama Desert, climbs Bolivia's high plains, and walks through Peru, Ecuador, and Colombia. In scorching days and freezing nights, he's walking 20 to 30 miles a day. To sleep, sometimes he goes into local homes of friends he just met a few minutes ago, but sometimes he has to camp out in the wild. He has already been robbed, threatened at gunpoint, collapsed from heat stroke, and even tangled with the drug cartels. Still, it's not enough to stop this British ex-military man. After crossing Colombia, Karl is standing and looking at his first real challenge, the Darién Gap, which is a tough terrain to cross. Zigzagos, rivers, mosquitoes, and cartels makes it a really dangerous combo. But what makes it even more dangerous is the place is an active front line between the Colombian government and the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia. But Karl starts walking into Panama anyways, but it wouldn't take long before he finds himself into its first problem. Panama police has arrested Karl for crossing without any official permission. This could be the end of his epic walk. So Karl starts explaining to the Panamanian police, trying to convince them that he's not a threat, even though as insane as it sounds, he's just a guy trying to walk around the earth. And after 18 days of persuasion, he was set free. He has successfully completed his first challenge. Soon he will continue to Central America. Then crossing Mexico, he reaches the US border in 2002. He's walking across the United States, then into Canada, and by 2005 stood at the end of the road in Fairbanks, Alaska. That's 15,000 miles in 7 years. He has 21,000 miles still left and is expecting to complete his journey by 2015 now. But completing the second half of his journey is where he will face his most problems. The first obvious one is to cross the Bering Strait. Between Alaska and Russia is roughly 58 miles of ocean that is not really walkable. Most of the year is a shifting battlefield of sea and floating ice, so Karl needed to get creative. You see, Bering Strait freezes in the winter, making it somewhat possible to walk across. Even the ancient people who migrated from the Asia to North America took this ice bridge. But there are only a handful of people in modern history who have attempted this walk. It's 2006 and Karl is joined by our French adventurer Dimitri Kiefer. They are preparing to walk to the Asia. They're using poles to test each step to see if the ice is thick enough, while digging snow holes to sleep and keep themselves warm. They also carrying flares for any polar bears encounters. One night while they were sleeping, the ice beneath them drifted 20 miles backward, meaning they had to cover all that distance again. After 14 brutal days of walking on this ice bridge, they have reached Asia. But before they could even celebrate, they were arrested by the Russian border guards. They are being taken to Moscow, and Karl is now facing deportation. You see, Russia's Far East is not only a brutal climate, it's also a red tape territory. And what Karl didn't realize is his route cuts through various military zones that require special permits. In May 5, 2006, then British Deputy Prime Minister and the Governor of Chukotka had a talk, following which Russian coast approved Bushby's application to walk through Russia's Far East. But there was another problem. The visa was allowed only for 19 every 180 days, and the frozen rivers are passable only in late winter and early spring. The rest of the year, snow would melt and turn swamp and rivers into impassable mess. So every year, Karl applied for visas. Most year he was denied. Sometimes he waited years, and passing Russia started to look impossible. It's been 2 years and Karl has barely made any progress in Russia. To make matters worse, all of Karl's sponsors had disappeared because of the 2008 financial crash. Karl is waiting on Russian visas and walking to other places to survive. His father died in 2011 while Karl was stuck in Russia, and that nearly broke him. In 2013, Russia will ban him again for 5 years, but Karl is not giving up. He's walking from Los Angeles to Washington, D.C. in thousands of miles to protest at the Russian embassy and to force a review. And the stunt actually worked. By 2014, he had a Russian visa again. By 2017, he finally crosses Russia and reached Ulaanbaatar. He is supposed to be sitting at home by this point, but he's happy to be out of Russia. In Mongolia, he met a group. They had a wild plan to travel the Silk Road with 10 Bactrian camels. The camels needed months of training, but the plan fell off and Karl is on his own again, walking into China. Police interference nearly forced him out, but with some luck in negotiation, he reached Kazakhstan at the end of 2018. From there, he walked into Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan, and then everything paused. The COVID-19 pandemic slammed the brakes. Standing on the edge of Caspian Sea, Karl realized he is trapped again. Russia's invasion of Ukraine made the old northern route impossible, and the southern crossing through Iran is not an option for someone holding a British passport. Now, it might sound insane, but Karl came up with a new plan. It involves swimming across the Caspian Sea from Kazakhstan to Azerbaijan, roughly 259 kilometers. Nobody has ever swam across the Caspian Sea. Karl teams up with 2 Azeri swimmers and a support fleet, 2 support boats from the Kazakh waters, then a 64-meter Azeri Coast Guard ship for the escort. He is swimming 6 to 8 hours every day and only hopping on ship to rest. After around 31 days, 288 kilometers, and 132 hours accumulated time in the water, the team finally reached Azerbaijan. It was the first required swim across the Caspian Sea. That risky period opened the shortest route back to Europe and saved the expedition from getting permanently stuck. On November 10, 2024, Karl left Baku and walked into Turkey. 5 months and 2,204 kilometers later, he arrived in Istanbul on April 25, 2025. A week later, he got the permission to use the famous 15 July Bosphorus Bridge to step from Asia to Europe. Karl is now 56 years old and has just over 3,000 kilometers left to reach the UK. Based on his pace over the last 5 months and the Schengen visa limited phases, that final stretch could take roughly 10 to 12 months before Karl will complete his longest walk on Earth.